Hey, nice people. It is David, and it is Friday, and I am just now getting around to check in. I meant to give with you yesterday, but this is just one of those times. I am glad that this time has come around and thought it never would. Maybe you're turning into a two-dimensional Zoom figure like it feels like I am some days. This week, we are checking in together about things that we are reading. And Aaron Rue gave some great examples on Tuesday. In classic me fashion, the answer to what am I reading is a variety of things. I think I got this trait from my dad, who could never read one thing at a time. But I am reading first and foremost, a book called The Echoing Green, which is an amazing novel based on the story of Bobby Thompson and Ralph Branca and the shot heard around the world, one of the greatest moments in baseball history. It is a super story, and it is an exercise in the fact that I miss baseball. Ironically, I guess, about these times, I was literally driving down to Florida to watch spring training when all of the pandemic pause began. And overnight, schools were postponed, baseball was postponed. Everything was put on hold while I was on my way to spring training. And it made me realize, reflecting on that spring training is one of these traditions I have in my inner working, that it's the time of year when I replenish my senses of hope and optimism that are rarely realized in the end, but it is such a good soulful exercise to remind yourself. And the other thing that I read every spring training, and I realized that with our pause, I did not get to read again this year, Alexander Pope's an essay on man, that is where the famous phrase that we say every spring as baseball fans, he writes in poetic form that rings throughout eternity: hope springs eternal in the human breast. Man never is, but always to be blessed. The soul, uneasy and confined from home, rests and expatiates in a life to come. The soul, uneasy and confined from home, rests and expatiates in a life to come. Boy, if that isn't a description of the moment in which we find ourselves, our soul feeling away from its sense of home and trying to rest in the sense of something else that is to come. We wait patiently for better days, but we're also together working on ourselves and working for the better days that are also coming. As part of my investment in that with you, I am taking up the 21-day race equity challenge that is posed to us by Eddie Moore Jr. in a really wonderful way. And one of the recommendations in that challenge and in this moment of anti-racism work is this very wonderful basic book, How to Be an Anti-Racist, by Ibram Kendi. He writes powerfully and persuasively about how it is good that how far we have come in the work against racism. It is to be recognized that there are fewer overt racists at work in society than there might have been in recent generations, and yet it's not enough. And his point is made persuasively that it's not enough for any one of us to be not racist. We all strive to be that in our efforts to be good people and followers of Jesus. But he says we must clearly go further as racial inequity continues to reign and cause destruction. He says we need to be more than just not racist. We need to be against racism. We need to be explicitly stopping racist tendencies in their tracks and reordering the way we do things so that the old habits that aren't fair for everybody can fade away and we can replace them with new ways of being. So I highly recommend that book, that reading, as part of your exercise and the challenge. And we really look forward to the chance to talk together tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I hope everybody can consider gathering with us there for some safe and enriching space to reflect on listening to different voices outside of our lived experience, perhaps, and our comfort zones. So I look forward to that conversation tomorrow morning with those of you who can join us. And the last thing that I'll share with you that I am reading, the short story genre it's really my favorite. I think I confessed to you in a previous check-in that I love listening to other people's stories, especially reflective, deep stories from people's lived experience. But almost just as much, I love the art of the short story, often fictional short story, that can contain an awful lot of truth and an awful lot of meaning in a short dose, which in my parenting life is about all I've had time for in a given dose. But I love these anthologies. The Best American Short Stories is a great anthology I commend to you. This story just has worked on me. I've read it 3 or 4 times, and it continues to inspire me. This is a short story called The Art of Losing by Yoon Choi. It is by someone with a different point of view and a different life experience than me. That is a thing that I am trying to invest more of my reading in. And this brilliant short story narrates the experience of an old Korean American man who has fallen into a state of confusion about the present, and really only has his memories of his contacts from the past by which to understand any moment he's living in. And so she describes in the closing moves of this story his experience, trying to figure out how to see what's around him. She says, "If he feels an old flicker of indignation, a last assertion, it's easily extinguished. Oh, and he doesn't blame them who are talking about him. He loves them. He gets the impression that he's already looking back on a life divested of time, ego, and even regard, a life weary of its own argument. A motion sensor light momentary illuminates the pool in front of him and then goes dark. Once, he remembers, his father had taken him swimming at Sokcho Beach. He enters the memory. His mother sits on a blanket by the rocks under the pine trees, and she waves. His father is in the ocean, motioning for Mosai is this man, to come deeper into the water. His father has taken off his stern black scholar's glasses, which he is never without. Mosai sees him, framed against the sea and against the sky. He can tell that his father's nearsighted eyes, squinting, are unaccustomed to taking in the long view. Still, his father beckons, tells him not to be afraid, tells him that swimming is like singing, that there's a scary little moment of trust, and then nothing. You find that inside you are made of lightness and air. Mosai wants to move toward that moment, to move deeper into its memory, but not just yet. He senses there is still something for him in this place, holding him back, staking its claim. He goes back inside the apartment and walks from room to room. He turns on every light inside the house, a pull of the chain under the tasseled lampshade beside the sofa, and he notices the sleeping boy. There is nothing but innocence and conceit in those thin arms and legs, the expectation of tender, loving care. I love this story and its vivid and deep sense of imagery, and I'm thinking about all these things together, how hope springs eternal. Our soul is yearning for rest in the life that is to come, and that we are all like the boy and the grandfather beholding him in that short story, waiting for tender, loving care. God is with us here to provide that hope, to provide that tender, loving care, and I hope you find in your day, in your week, in this strange time, episodes of grace that'll be a reminder to you that hope does spring eternal, that the tender loving care is there for us now like it always has been and always will be. Peace be with you. I hope I'll get to see you tomorrow morning and then Sunday morning as we celebrate the Lord's Day. Take care.